Hey everyone, I'm Kim Shively,
And I'm Kevin Otis.
and we're the authors of Applied Meisner for the 21st Century Actor. And this companion video is offered as a placeholder while we are waiting for COVID restrictions to decrease and life to get back to normal and us to get into the studio with our actors. So in the meantime, today we're going to talk about working with need. Working with a need, how to find need, what is this thing when we talk about need? It's not the easiest thing to find. And so we're going to chat about it today. So Kevin, I love what you say when you talk about how the need really lives in the heart of the other person. And this comes back to like that importance of the other person, that the need is really, it lives there. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, okay. So if we accept some premises, all right, sounds so intellectual, but it's like if the other person is the most important person, okay, in a moment of crisis, then changing the other person is going to be, um, what's driving the character, right? And so it should be what's driving the actor when they're portraying that character. How do I need this person to change right now? Now, one of the things the need helps us do is it helps us justify why certain words and actions are necessary and why other words and actions are not in the script. So, so I think most of the time, what the kind of behavior or ugh, gets
It's okay.
complicated,
It's so complicated. It's
Yeah.
messy.
Well, it is messy because the test has to be in the other person's behavior, but if you're not going to just coerce that person into changing their behavior, you have to change something inside of them, right? And so we can call that like the person's heart, right? I have to change this person's heart so that they then begin exhibiting the behavior that I need them to do. I need them to make that behavioral change so I can get my needs met and and then have a new need emerge, right? Because that we're never needless in moments of crisis. There's always the next thing.
It's
But
it's
but
so funny because
what we're talking about, yeah.
as you're talking about this, I'm thinking about we had a student, Meisner said all good acting is specific. And we do really we emphasize specificity, but there are a lot of things that cause specificity in our acting. However, I think sometimes specificity and the need to be specific can become rigid. And
Mm.
so we were working on some crafting, and the student was analyzing the scene, and ultimately we all discovered that the character wanted the other character to run away with them. And the student said, but don't I want them to run away with me in my car? Don't I want to get them in the car? And that was where it began to fall apart because it was so specific. And I was like, if you want someone to run away with you in your car, it's like, you can just, what's stopping you from banging them over the head and like tying them up and putting them in the trunk? Like you, you want them to want to run away with you. And
Yeah.
that can look a lot of different ways. But if I want my other character to run away with me, then how do I know I'm winning? Okay, I know I'm winning when they place their hand in mine. I know I'm winning when we are walking toward the getaway car. I am winning when we get in the car, they look me in the eye and they're like, I don't want to be anywhere else. And whether they say it or whether they just look at me like that, I'm winning in that moment. I am getting that need met. And so it's it's really tricky because it's a delicate balance. And also i think I think need, and you might disagree with me on this, but I also think that finding the need and working with the need actually doesn't have to be the first thing I do.
Mm-hmm.
I usually steer actors in a direction of understanding who the character is, what their point of view on the world is, what their point of view on the other people in the story are, what their point of view on their circumstances are. And once they do that, then the need starts, it can be a little mushy in the beginning. It doesn't have to be perfect, because I think need is also, because it's one of those things that, as you say, it has to be digestible. Not only do we have to accept it, but we have to be able to digest it and really have a physical connection to it, not just
Yeah.
a logical connection to it. And so I'm okay with a need being a little bit mushy in the beginning, because it's, you got to really get in there and work with it and see where your impulses are, what's causing you to be pinched. Where's that pinch come?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally makes sense, and I agree. Um, well, and I think the need, the point of view that you mentioned, it's like the need and the point of view, they inform one another, as we're going through a rehearsal process, and that's why, it's like that's part of the process of rehearsal, right? Is we have the luxury, depending on how long the rehearsal is, to start a little more general and then to work towards being specific in a way that makes sense and it can be embodied. Um, I think with need, just like a lot of an acting analysis work, we have to be on the lookout for perfectionism, because when we get into that kind of headspace of like I have to know everything right now before I can start acting, it tends to create a lot of tension, and yeah, and that tension, we don't want that to become part of the performance, right? Because all acting analysis should free us, right? It's like if I can fully commit to getting my to trying to get my character's needs met,
Mhm.
then I'm more in the imaginary world than I would be in if I was trying to be perfect, which then created all this tension. So
Yeah.
I think
I mean, this
I
is
think it's a
part of,
good way to work.
yes, and it's part of why I think, analysis in academic environments can get really, it can be really difficult. And you and I are in an academic environment. So when
Yeah.
it's time to teach analysis, I think I dive even more into the messy end of things, because I know that student soldier mentality, that our students are like, I am going to find the right way to do this. I'm going to plan everything, which of course we know, like, the root of most acting hangups is trying to replicate what you've seen other people do or what you think a thing should be. And
Yeah.
so it's really to get them in that like messy work of what, just even this, when we talk about it, it gets messy because it's not, I think the perfection, it like removes all the humanity and all the appetite and the desire, because those things are not sophisticated. They are not perfect. And they're, that's the beauty of the mess in analysis. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we want those, what might be seen as like rough edges, right? We want that in the acting because that's where so much of the authenticity is, you know. But I think to be able to work with need and start from a general place. I mean, and a general place might be as simple as like, I think this character needs the other character to love them or to respect them. And to start from something as general as that and then start to work, funnel it down into something that's a little more specific. It's like, I want this person to respect me. Well, what's that mean? Well, I need them to accept me for who I really am. Oh, okay. Well, that's something that, you know, can then be fine-tuned, right? That's specific enough, right? Or like the example you gave about love. I need this person to run away with me, right? To love me so much that they can take a big chance. And maybe that starts from a more general place.
absolutely. And when we look at most dramatic stories and most dramatic conflict, it's always, one person wants something to change, another person wants something to stay the same. One person wants to be loved in a certain way, the other person is trying to love them in a different way. And
Yeah.
so it's there, we're not dealing in like, it's human nature. So I think oftentimes we overcomplicate things by trying to find this perfect, we confuse what makes us unique in our responses to things with trying to be so original and unique in our analysis, and I don't know that that's helpful for the actor.
Yeah, I really love what you just said because it's being able to commit to what you're going after allows the originality, right, to emerge. It's yeah, and a lot of the stories we watch and live in those imaginary under those imaginary circumstances, they are about love and respect and getting over hardship or trying to win, right? Or trying to survive. Um, and so the needs the needs aren't necessarily original, but the way each of us goes about trying to get those needs met, that's original. Yeah.
That's super original. And that's what makes it so engaging. The simplest stories are sometimes the most compelling. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we hope you have enjoyed this conversation. And to learn more about us, you can always follow us on Facebook at 21C Actor and Instagram at 21C Actor Insta, and always on our website at www.21cactor.com. And as we
That's
always
right.
say,
Do it for real.